and 4. I've opened it 4 times. But you save this with an _2 for Sam for grading. So step 1, Personal Insurance, Inc. is a national company that insures homeowners and renters. It also offers umbrella policies that provide additional coverage. As a regional manager, you need to be able to query the database to help make decisions and to answer questions from other employees. Create a query based on the customer's table in Query Design View with the following options. A. Add the customer ID, first name, last name, and date of birth fields to the design grid in that order. Okay, so we are first going to create, and it says Query Design, and we are going to double click on the customer's table, or you can click and drag to get it over here in our design grid. So this is called our design grid. And our steps asked to add the customer ID, first name, last name, and date of birth. So I'm going to double click, first name, last name, date of birth. B, sort the records in ascending order by last name. And C, save the query using customer last name sorted. Okay, so sort the records in ascending order by last name. So here's our last name here, and you'll see the sorts right here. So you click here and you get a drop down list, and you can choose ascending or descending. So I'm choosing ascending, and the name was customer last name sorted. So I'm going to right click here, save, okay, so now that it's saved, I'm going to close it down. So you'll see it show up down here, customer last name sorted, to see that you created a query. Step 2, open the homeowner's premium query in design view and make the following changes to the query. So the homeowners, you're going to open it in design view. So if you just double click, you're going to open it in data sheet. So what I usually like to do when they ask to open it in design is I right click and I choose design view. So it's right where we need it to be. And it's asking us, A, delete the customer ID column from the design grid. Okay, so that did it really quickly, so I'll show you again. If you get the black arrow pointing down over the top, see how it disappears? It's only there for a short amount of time. So if you hover over the top and you select like this, you can delete it. That chooses the whole column then. You can move it or delete it or do what you need to with this one. So as long as you get the whole thing black like this, you go up and choose delete columns. Now this delete columns tool is found under the query design on ribbon, okay? So delete columns, so now that one's gone. B, add criteria to select only those records where the premium field, so here's your premium field, is greater than 2,000. So we need to add criteria. This is criteria here. We're going to add criteria to be greater than 2,000. Okay. C, save the changes and check it out in datasheet view. Okay, so I'm going to right click and I'm going to save. And I'm just going to check it out in datasheet view to see if only the premiums, so my customer ID field for one is deleted, and only the premiums that are above 2,000 are showing here. So it's all saved and good to go. So I'm going to close it down. And, well, of course it was already created, but it's there, still there. Step 3, open the liability or property query in design view and add criteria to select only those records where liability field equals. Okay, so I'm going to open it up so I can show you what we're talking about here. So liability or property query or properties, that's this one here, in design view. So you're going to right click on it and you're going to go design view. And they're asking you to add criteria. So we're going to deal with this row right here, criteria row, to select only those records where the liability, that's right here, field equals 75,000 or the property, personal property field equals 75,000. So the main thing to recognize here is or is highlighted, meaning that you're going to type something in here or here. Sorry, here or here, because here's your or row. If they put and in here, you would type it here and here. They would be on the same row. But they asked for or, so you're going to type one down here and one up here. So the first one is equals 75,000 in the liability field. So you're going to go, and personal property was or. So I wouldn't do it here because that's and. Or equals 75,000. Okay, so I think the last one is just to save it and show it in Datasheet. So we're right-clicking and saving, and we're going to check it out in Datasheet View to see what we're talking about. So it says in your instructions 3 records should return. No, you did it right. So it shows here's liability, 75,000, and the other 2 records that are being shown here are property. If you had typed in 75,000 in the and right next to each other, you wouldn't have gotten any records returning because neither one of these records both at the same time say 75,000. Okay, so you did that right if you got 3 records coming back. So you can just close it down. Step 4, open the comparison birth query in design view and make the following changes to the query. Okay, comparison birth. Add the first name field to the query design grid. So I'm going to double click, adding it there. The first name field should be immediately following the customer ID. Okay, so now we need to move it. So we're going to use that thick black arrow pointing down again. Click once so that it's selected. And now I'm just going to keep my mouse there, click and hold, and drag it over. See that thick black line? That'll show you where it's going to end up. B, add criteria to select only those records where the date of birth field value is less than 1/1/1950. So the date of birth is less than 1/1/1950. So it's criteria less than C, set the format to medium date for the date of birth field. So we're going to make sure that we still got date of birth selected here, and I'll go up to property sheet, which is in query design. And my format is right here, and I need medium date, and I believe the caption is next. Yeah, D, set the caption to birth date for date of birth field. Whoopsies. So it was a mistake, but I'm glad I did it. I accidentally clicked out here in the design grid, which gave me the property sheet for the whole design grid, which you will use in a later step. So just notice that you get different properties with different things you click on here. Okay, so I'm dealing with date of birth, so I'm going to make sure I click on date of birth, and the caption here is going to be birth date. Birth date, enter. E, save the changes and open in Datasheet View to confirm that it's fixed. Okay, I keep doing that. All right, so it's like that. We're good. We're going to close down property sheet, stop playing around with it. Right click, save, and now I'm going to check it out in Datasheet View. So see how the name changed from date of birth to birth date? That's what happens when you change the caption. And I got my first name in there right after the customer ID. And the birth dates are all less than 1950. So it's a really great way for if you were looking for somebody in a database, say an Eastern Health's database, and you had to find anybody that was born below 1950 for certain health services that they're entitled to. You would put a query in like this to find them, or maybe their phone numbers would be here as well, or their contacts, and you would contact these people and let them know that they have a certain service that they can avail of with Eastern Health. So queries are really good for picking out information out of the big tables. So now that we've got that done and saved, we're going to close it down. Step 5, open the state city sort query, state city sort in design view, and make the following changes. A, move the state field to the beginning of the design grid, so it says state first instead of city, and then sort the records in descending order by the state field and ascending order by city. Okay, so descending, ascending. So we're going to move state, oops, and I'm going to keep my mouse right there on that little thick black line on the top of the column and click and hold, dragging it over. Now I need to sort these guys descending and then city by ascending. That's right, right? Descending, ascending. Perfect. All right, so I'm going to save it, and we can check it out in data sheet view if you want. So state, you see descending, so it goes V on up, so Z to A. And then it says the city goes in ascending order afterwards. So we've got these four. These numbers are the same. So PA, so it starts with the C and it works its way down to Z. So it goes A to Z for this one, and it goes Z to A for this one. So this one takes priority, and then this one's next. That's saved, so we're going to close that down. Step 6, open the liability and property query in design view. Liability and property. Okay, and property. And add criteria to select only those records where the liability field equals 100,000 and, okay, and the personal property field. So we're going to do an and now. So they both equal 100,000. We're going to go equals 100,000 and, so we're going to put it right there. No ors. All right, I think that's the only thing we do for that one. Yeah, so we're going to save it and check it out in data sheet view just to make sure that it worked. Yeah, see, so now you're only returning values where it's in both. That would be your and instead of your or for criteria. So we'll close that down. Step 7. Step 7, open the Michigan Customers Query in Design View. Michigan Customer. Add criteria to select only those records where the state field value is MI. Okay, so the state field value is MI. Save and open in data sheet view. Okay, so state is MI, which is Michigan. So just MI, and I'm going to click out over here to get out of those little drop-down lists. So MI, perfect. I'm going to right-click and save, and I'm going to check it out in data sheet view. So it returns only states that have, or the people are located in Michigan. So I'll close that down. Step 8, because customers of personal insurance reside in many different states, it is often difficult to know the exact spelling of a city. Open the customer city query. In design view and add criteria to select only those records where the city field begins with the letters AL. Save the changes to the query. Okay, so this one is called a wildcard. So in the city here, they want you to find any city names that start with AL, but you don't know the rest of the word. So in order to do that, you're going to go AL and put an asterisk here afterwards. The asterisk stands in for unknown characters. So it will return back to you any words that start with AL. So I'm going to save it, and we'll check out data sheet view and see what we came back with. Okay, so it came back with Alabaster and Allentown. Both of these are the only ones they could find that start with AL. Okay, so that is what the star does. The asterisk, I tried to show this in Teams, but the asterisk in Teams comes up as a dot, and if I try 2 asterisks in Teams, it comes up as a bold. So the asterisk is located Shift and the number 8 key on your keyboard, or if you have a keypad on the right hand side of your keyboard, it should be looking like the multiplication symbol you would use on your keypad. So it's just above the 9 on the right hand side if you have that little small keyboard number set there. All right, so that one's saved, and we'll close that down. Step 9, many queries require data from more than one table. For example, you may want a query to display the customer last name rather than the customer ID for a renter's policy. Create a query in design view based on the customer and renters table with the following options. Okay, so I'm going to click on the customer, and I'm going to create and query design, and I'm going to bring over my customer and my renters table. And now I'm going to choose add customers table renters, add last name field from the customers. So last name from the customers, and add the policy number and premium field from the renters. So policy number and premium from the renters table. D, join the customers table and the renters table by drawing a line from it. It says hint because the field names are identical in both tables. The line may already be there, so it's already there. You guys can skip D if you have the line like I do. Save the query using customer renter as the name. So customer-renter. Save. Saved, and so I see it show up there. It's saved. It's all good to go. Close it down. Step 10. Because customers live in different states, it's often advantageous to create a query where you can change one criteria using a parameter query. Open the states parameter query in design view. So states parameter, we'll have to slide down a bit to find that. Add parameter query, criteria, to the state field to replace the current FL. The new parameter should prompt the user with enter desired state as the text. Okay, so enter desired state. That was lowercase a, yes. Save the changes to the query, view the query in data sheet view, enter PA when prompted, confirm that 8 records appear. So we will right click, save, and when we view it in data sheet view, states parameter, state, enter desired state. Okay, so parameter query, I missed the square brackets that go around it to make it a parameter query, whereas before it was just Florida. Now it is going to have square brackets around it so that when we look at it in data sheet view, did I save it? Oops. There. So I think I put the wrong bracket in there. So those 2 square brackets are next to the P on your keyboard, and you put an open square bracket, enter desired state, and close square bracket for parameter query. And you save it, and we can switch to data sheet, and it'll enter desired state and ask you to put in PA, and then you will return any states that are PA. You can change it up and put in MI or any other states that would be in the original table that's connected to this query, which I'm assuming is the states table. So that's saved. We can close that down. Number 11, open the top values property query in design view. Top values property. Modify the query to sort the property damage amounts in descending order. Change the return value to display only top 5 records. Okay, so sort in descending for property damage. Here, descending, and return the top 5 values. Close the query. Okay, so your return is found in the query design here, so it's going to return the top 5 values. Make the query display only the top number or percentage of items from the results. So I'm going to right click, save, and check out in data sheet view, and I get the top 5 values. Step 12, open the total coverage query in design view. Modify the query by creating a calculated field. Enter total coverage : space liability plus property damage in the zoom dialog box. So total coverage query. Zoom dialog box. So I'm going to go up here where the field name should be. I'm going to right click and I'm going to go to the zoom box. And then I'm going to type in what they tell me to create my calculated field. Or I could just copy and paste it. Save the query, open in datasheet view. So whatever you put before the colon here is going to be the name of the field, and whatever's after it is going to be what calculates your field. So we'll right click save and we'll go to datasheet view. So see how total coverage is the name. Total coverage is the name, and this here is going to be liability plus property damage, the calculation that you entered in. Okay, so we're going to close this. Step 13, open the average premium query in design view. Add a totals row to the design grid. Okay, so your totals row is right here. So now you have a totals row. And it says select average as the calculation and the caption to average premium for the premium field. So the total is going to be average, and they want you to set a caption, and remember the caption is found in the property sheet. So make sure that you're clicked on premium, not out here because you'll get a different property sheet. So click on premium, and the caption is going to be average space premium. So just click outside or enter, either or works. Close down my property sheet. I'm right clicking and saving and checking it out in datasheet view. Average premium. Okay, so I'll close that down. Step 14, open the customers without homes query in design view. So customers without homes. Change the join property for the relationship between the customer's homeowners table to select all the records from the customer's table and only those records from the homeowners table where the joined fields are equal. Okay, so that's this here. So click on that line and you'll get these. So it says include all records from homeowners, only those where the joined fields are equal. So that's 2, I believe. I'm just going to reread it and make sure. All records from the customer's table and only those with wait, that's the third one from the homeowners table. Yeah, so it's the third one. Okay, and B is add the is null criteria for the policy number field and add an ascending sort order on the last name. So last name here is ascending sort order. Policy number has criteria to be is null. Okay, so save the changes to the query, open the query in datasheet, and confirm that there are 21 records. So we will right click, save, and we'll check it out to make sure there's 21 records. So you can check down here really quickly and see 21 records. So we're good to go. Step 15, open the unique states query in design view. Unique, so it must be at the bottom. Modify the query to list all states only once. Save the changes to the query. Okay, so this one is the unique values. So you're going to list all states only once. So you're going to go up to your property sheet and click in the design grid out here so that you can get unique values. And you will change the no to a yes. All right, so we will save it and we will check it out in datasheet view, and we get each state only once. Okay, So that is what the unique values in your property sheet does. And again, you find that property sheet tool in your query design. Okay, step 16, create a crosstab query based on the Mid-Atlantic table with the following options. So you're going to create a query now. So you're creating a crosstab query. You only have Query Wizard and Query Design. You don't see crosstab. So go into Query Wizard and you will find crosstab here. And the instructions tell you exactly what steps you need to do. So we are going to base it off of the Mid-Atlantic table. So I'm going to choose Mid-Atlantic table and next. And it asks us which field values do you want as row headings. The instructions for B say use the state field as row headings. So you go state and bringing it over to the selected fields, and you see state coming up here as your row headings. Now it asks you for column headings, and C says to use city field for column headings. So you choose city, and then you get your column headings right here. And then D says use count of the customer ID field as a calculated value for each row and column, and include row sums in the crosstab query. So here are row sums. It's defaulted to be selected. I just accidentally clicked on it when I clicked outside of the instructions. And they want customer ID and count, I do believe. Yes, so those are the defaulted values. If they were different, you would just choose different here. But the top two are the default. And then you would go next. E is save the query using state, city, crosstab as the name. Okay, so finish. There you go. Now I'm just going to do this anyway. Close it down. Step 17, whoopsie. Export the renters table as an Excel file. So all the way up to your renters table, you go to external data, and here's your export group, here's your import group. So you're going to go to the export group and you're going to go to Excel. To the same folder as the one that stores your database. Do not export the data with formatting and layout. Save the export steps using export renters as the name. Do not add a description. Okay, so we're not choosing this, so we're going to click OK. And it does say to save the export steps. So we're going to save the export steps. Save export. Okay. And the name isn't coming up to be asked. So like it tells you in the instructions to use export renters as the name. Export renters is the name anyway. So you don't need to worry about that step there. You can check that out in the saved exports folder here. Okay, so step 18, use the import spreadsheet wizard to import the data from the support file that you downloaded. And it should be in your downloads folder, and append it to the umbrella table. Okay, so instead of keeping talking, we're going to check out. So again, we're going to stay in external data. We're going to look at our import and link group. We're going to go to new data source. And as you can see here, this is an XLSX file, which is an Excel file. So we are going to, from file, we're going to choose our Excel. And we need to browse, and we're going to go to our downloads and our umbrella. And they ask you to append it to the umbrella table. So we're going to append it to the umbrella, meaning that whatever information is in this Excel file, we're going to add, that's what append is, add it to the umbrella table. So we're going to click OK. Next. And import to table. Just double check here. Do not save the import steps, and it should contain 4 records. Okay. Finish. Do not save, so we're just going to click close. And we're going to double click on our umbrella and see that we have 14, so we got it done right. Awesome possum. Step 19, rename Pennsylvania Owners Query as Pennsylvania Customers in the navigation pane. So this is your navigation pane. So we're going to go down to Pennsylvania Owners and we're going to change it. So right click and rename Pennsylvania Customers and enter. 20, group the objects in the navigation pane by tables and related views. So you get your grouping in your navigation pane by clicking on this circle with the arrow pointing down. And right now it's grouped by object type. So the types would be the tables, queries, and forms and reports. You want to do tables and related views. So here's customers table, the homeowners table, renters, umbrella, mid-Atlantic table. Okay. So you are finished. Make sure that you have everything closed up here, which means it's all saved, and you get _2 as your name to submit to SAM for grading. Awesome job.